Section 54 of In the Nursery of My Bookhouse. Recording by Tara Dow. In the Nursery of My Bookhouse. Edited by Olive Beaupre Miller. The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. Retold by Carolyn Sherwin Bailey. Once upon a time, there was a little white rabbit with two beautiful long pink ears and two bright red eyes and four soft little feet. Such a pretty little white rabbit. But he wasn't happy. Just think! This little white rabbit wanted to be somebody else instead of the nice little rabbit that he was. When Mr. Bushytail, the gray squirrel, went by, the little white rabbit would say to his mammy, "Oh, Mammy, I wish I had a long gray tail like Mr. Bushytail's." And when Mr. Porcupine went by, the little white rabbit would say to his mammy, "Oh, Mammy, I wish I had a back full of bristles like Mr. Porcupine's." And when Miss Puddle Duck went by in her two little red rubbers, the little white rabbit would say, "Oh, Mammy, I wish I had a pair of red rubbers like Miss Puddle Duck's." So he went on and on wishing until his mammy was clean tired out with all his wishing, and old Mr. Groundhog heard him one day. Old Mr. Groundhog is very wise indeed, so he said to the little white rabbit, "Why don't y'all go down to the wishing pond, and if you look in the water at yourself and turn around 3 times in a circle, y'all will get your wish." So the little white rabbit trotted off, all alone by himself, through the woods until he came to a little pool of green water lying in a low tree stump. And that was the wishing pond. There was a little bird, all red, sitting on the edge of the wishing pond to get a drink, and as soon as the little white rabbit saw him, he began to wish again. "Oh, I wish I had a pair of little red wings," he said. Just then he looked in the wishing pond and he saw his little white face. Then he turned around 3 times, and something happened. He began to have a queer feeling in his shoulders, like that he felt in his mouth when he was cutting his teeth. It was his wings coming through. So he sat all day in the woods by the wishing pond, waiting for them to grow, and by, when it was almost sundown, he started home to see his mammy and show her, because he had a beautiful pair of long, trailing red wings. But by the time he reached home it was getting dark, and when he went in the hole at the foot of a big tree where he lived, his mammy didn't know him. No, she really and truly did not know him, because, you see, she had never seen a rabbit with red wings in all her life. And so the little white rabbit had to go out again because his mammy wouldn't let him get into his own bed. He had to go out and look for some place to sleep all night. He went and went until he came to Mr. Bushytail's house, and he rapped on the door and said, "Please, kind Mr. Bushytail, may I sleep in your house all night?" But Mr. Bushytail opened his door a crack, and then he slammed it tight shut again. You see, he had never seen a rabbit with red wings in all his life. So the little white rabbit went and went until he came to Miss Puddle Duck's nest down by the marsh, and he said, "Please, kind Miss Puddle Duck, may I sleep in your nest all night?" But Miss Puddle Duck poked her head up out of her nest just a little way, and then shut her eyes and stretched her wings out so far that she covered her whole nest. You see, she had never seen a rabbit with red wings in all her life. So the little white rabbit went and went until he came to old Mr. Groundhog's hole, and old Mr. Groundhog let him sleep with him all night. But the hole had beech nuts spread all over it. Old Mr. Groundhog liked to sleep on them, but they hurt the little white rabbit's feet and made him very uncomfortable before morning. When it came to morning, the little white rabbit decided to try his wings and fly a little, so he climbed up on a hill and spread his wings and sailed off. But he landed in a low bush all full of prickles, and his 4 feet got mixed up with the twigs, so he couldn't get down. "Mommy! Mommy! Mommy! Come help me!" he called. His mammy didn't hear him, but old Mr. Groundhog did, and he came and helped the little white rabbit out of the prickly bush. "Don't y'all want your red wings?" Mr. Groundhog asked. "No, no," said the little white rabbit. "Well," said the old groundhog, "why don't y'all go down to the wishing pond and wish them off again?" So the little white rabbit went down to the wishing pond, and he saw his face in it. Then he turned around 3 times, and sure enough, his red wings were gone. Then he went home to his mammy, who knew him right away and was so glad to see him. And he never, never wished to be something different from what he really was again. End of section 54. Recording by Tara Dow.